And now, marine weather around Alaska.
For tomorrow, we've got another storm coming across the Bering Sea and the Aleutians with gale force winds, rain heavy at times here, spreading in toward Unimak Island, northward to the Pribilofs, and extending all the way back out with that low center to the Shimiatu area. Rain over the eastern interior, rain over the northern interior, mixed with precipitation possibly for the Arctic coast. Sunny and warm over the southeast coast. Drier and a lot less wind now as this area of rain shifts off to the east with the upper level trough. And then for Saturday, this front makes landfall along the southwest coast with gusty winds and rain once again returning to the Alaska Peninsula. Much of the western interior areas spreading eastward in toward the Kuskokwim Valley. Otherwise, high pressure makes for a nice start to the weekend here over the central and southern interior, right on down into the Gulf of Alaska. Kodiak Island, variable clouds and sunny warm conditions for the southeast coast right through the holiday weekend. And for the coastal water forecast here for the central and south coast, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots tomorrow, south at 10 for Lynn Canal, northwest 10 for Stevens Passage and Clarence Strait, and the north coast, east winds 15 to 25 knots. And for Saturday, for the much of the coast out here, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots, otherwise variable winds at 10 knots for the inside waters. Prince William Sound, small craft advisory, southeast winds 25 knots, sea 6 feet, and west winds 25 knots here for the western North Gulf Coast, the Barren Islands, eastern North Gulf Coast, south to southeast at 20 to 25 knots. And small craft advisories for Cook Inlet for south to southwest winds at 30 knots, and that extends right on down into Kamishak Bay. And for Prince William Sound on Saturday, much lighter winds there with higher pressure coming in, much lighter winds everywhere here. Variable 10 to 15 knots there for the North Gulf Coast, south at 20 for Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay, Cook Inlet, southwest winds 15 knots. And for Kodiak Island, west winds 20 to northwest 25 knots there, strongest on the east side of the island tomorrow. And small craft advisories for Bristol Bay, southwest at 25, seas 5 feet in the Alaska Peninsula. West to southwest winds 15 to 25 knots. And for the day Saturday, for the Alaska Peninsula, south to southeast winds 25 to 35 knots. With seas up to 11 feet, and Bristol Bay southeast at 20. Kodiak Island, wind south 20 knots, seas 3 to 5 feet. And for the eastern Aleutians, we've got increasing winds there, small craft advisories for Unalaska Island, south to southwest tomorrow at 25 to 30 knots. Otherwise, good gale force winds here from Unimak Island, Nikolsky, all the way west to Amchitka Island, and then falling back to 30 knots there for the areas from Kiska to Shimia, otherwise 45 knots right out of the south. And then for Saturday, from Shimia to Kiska Island, northwest 30 to 35 knots, and west-southwest 30 knots from Kiska to Adak. And for the central Aleutians, south to southwest 30 knots. And now we've got gale warnings out for Unalaska Island, south winds 35 knots with seas as high as 14 feet. And for the southwest coast, tomorrow, light southwest breeze at about 10 knots, 2-foot seas. West 15 for St. Lawrence Island, but small craft advisories in Norton Sound, west 25 knots. Gale warnings developing for the Pribilof Islands, south increasing to 30 knots, seas building to 7 feet. Southeast 30 for St. Matthew Island with 6-foot seas. Norton Sound, south wind 20 knots for Saturday, and St. Lawrence Island, Yukon Delta Coast, St. Matthew Island, southeast 30 knots. Gale warnings for the Kuskokwim Delta Coast Saturday, south at 35 knots with 9-foot seas, and south winds 30 knots for the Pribilof Islands with 14-foot seas. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow, west winds 15 knots, seas 5 to 6 feet. Small craft advisories for the central Arctic coast, northeast 25 knots, 5-foot seas there. Northeast at 20 for the western Arctic coast, and the Chukchi Sea looking at north to northwest winds 20 to 25 knots with seas up to 7 feet. They'll switch direction on Saturday, east to south for the Chukchi Sea at about 10 to 15 knots, with those seas coming down to 2 to 3 feet. Southwest 10 knots for the western Arctic coast, seas 2 feet. West 15 for the central coast with 3-foot seas. Now small craft advisories for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast. West winds 25 to 30 knots with seas 4 to 7 feet.